SunlightFoundation crunched the numbers on the money spent trying to influence this year's election, and it turns out the NRA's Political Action Committee got, as a return on their investment in the 2012 election, a 0.82% return. They spent almost $11.8 million, and less than 1% of that money went to races that went their way. Less than 1%. Now, to be fair, the NRA's lobbying arm, they got just over a 10% return on their investment. So instead of wasting 99% of their money, this other NRA spending group only wasted 90% of their money on races they didn't win. And that's their good news this year. Now, to be fair, what we are seeing in those NRA numbers might just be an indication of the fact that the NRA is mostly just a Republican interest group at this point. The NRA does not seem to be making particularly principled decisions about their endorsements these days, right? And most groups on the right, most groups supporting Republicans this year, just did really poorly because Republicans did really poorly. We've talked about a few of them on this show before. The Karl Rove-founded American Crossroads Super PAC, one of his groups, they got a 1% return on their investment of over $100 million in this race. The Chamber of Commerce got a 6.9% return on their investment of $32 million. Even the Republican Party's own House and Senate campaign groups didn't get a very good return on their investments. They spent a ton of money on these races, and they lost. But you know who did great this election cycle? Look at this. Look at Planned Parenthood's record this election cycle. Planned Parenthood's Super PAC had a more than 98% return on their investment this election cycle. Planned Parenthood's political arm had a more than 97% return on their investment. They spent over $1 million helping get President Obama reelected. They also spent money to help incumbents who support abortion rights and women's health rights, like Sherrod Brown in Ohio and John Tester in Montana and Claire McCaskill in Missouri. They spent money to help Tammy Baldwin and Tim Kaine win close races for open U.S. Senate seats. And they spent money campaigning against anti-abortion candidates like Mitt Romney at the top of the Republican ticket. They also campaigned against Linda McMahon in Connecticut and Todd Akin in Missouri and Josh Mandel in Ohio and Denny Rehberg in Montana and Tommy Thompson in Wisconsin and George Allen in Virginia. In all of those places where Planned Parenthood took sides, their side won. Planned Parenthood also led the opposition to an anti-abortion ballot question in Florida that would have amended the state's constitution in an effort to restrict access to abortion. That opposition succeeded in Florida. Florida voted that anti-abortion thing down by a 10-point margin. Planned Parenthood won pretty much everything they touched. Over 97%, over 98%. It was a very winning year for Planned Parenthood.